Happy Friday, Miami. This is Buy, Sell, Hold Miami, a real estate podcast about what's going on in the South Florida real estate market. I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. I'm joined here by my co-host, the moderator, no one else but Daniel Hernandez. He is a real estate advisor over at Compass Real Estate in Coconut Grove. He does single-family houses as well as condos. What's going on, Daniel?
What's going on, Peter? Peter, you look different. You got a haircut?
I did not get a haircut. What you see is a very disappointed face. I got an email this morning that Major League Cricket, a professional cricket
Are they
league,
not coming?
They're not coming to Fort Lauderdale this year. They always show up at the Lauderhill Oval on 441 at Sunrise. They just sent out the notices saying you can buy tickets in advance for this season, which begins in June, and they're not coming to Lauderhill. They're giving us a miss. They're going to Los Angeles. It's a brand new stadium that just opened up in anticipation of the Olympics in 2028. And Lauderhill is basically getting flipped the bird.
Oh, you know what it probably is? Because the World Cup's coming here, so they don't want to compete with the World Cup. That's got to be what it is.
Yeah, it might be, but I think it's short-sighted on behalf of all of the tech titans that each have their own cricket team. They're not bringing them here. I don't think.
I thought all the tech titans were moving to Miami.
Well, supposedly, I mean, maybe Mark Zuckerberg ought to buy a team. He just dropped $140 million on a house on Indian Creek, a man-made island. So why not? He can afford a cricket team.
He can afford two, maybe. Even three.
Right.
Hey. Well, hey, folks. If you're just joining us for the first time today, this is Buy, Sell, Hold Miami. Thanks for coming. If a friend send it to you, thank them for us. Format of this show is the following. You see that little thing in the bottom left of your screen right under Peter's pretty face? That's called the rundown. We pick about 5 topics every week, and we talk about them. 7, 10 minutes, we got you for an hour. And so at the end of each topic, we're either going to buy because we agree, we sell because we disagree, we hold because, well, we're just going to hold. That's what it is. We just hold and we wait, and we're going to talk about it again in 6 months when the real stuff's starting to boil over. But jumping right into it, something we talked about quite a bit over the last 6 months, big cities are worried about taxes too, and it's not them getting taxed. So there's this whole discussion up there in Tallahassee about eliminating homesteaded property taxes. So, and Peter said it a ton of times, where do the property taxes go, Pete?
Go to the county, the city, and the school board, 2% of your value.
Right. So up in Tallahassee, and the headline is kind of deceiving because they're not going to completely eliminate your property tax. If you own a house and you have it homesteaded, you're still going to have to pay the school board taxes, right? Because they've carved that out, and there's going to be a little carve out for public safety, which is police and firemen. But if this passes, so if the joint resolution passes, which it hasn't, and it would go to referendum, which it hasn't yet, they would need a 60% vote from the constituents. So that's why it's important you go out and vote for them to pass this. And that would be effective starting in 2027. There was going to be like a 10-year sort of cool-off period. They nixed that. But if this passes, that would be the result. And so about a year ago, I think, the legislature put forth a proposal to do a study, a measly $1 million, Peter. That's all it was going to take. And DeSantis said, no study. This is how it's going to be. The city's got to do their own math. And so now all these municipalities are kind of getting together, these commissions, and they're doing the math. And so just this last Tuesday, City of Fort Lauderdale, their commission got together. And just like City of Miami, City of Fort Lauderdale is a city within the county. So there's a bunch of municipalities within both of our counties, and the City of Fort Lauderdale is, their big commercial center. And so what they discovered, Peter, is that nearly 30% of the city's ad valorem revenue, about $72.8 million, comes from homesteaded property taxes, right? All that money makes up about 14% of the city's general fund.
Wow.
And that's right. And it's not just an outlier. Orlando stands to lose $72 million, roughly 17% of its tax revenue comes from homesteaded properties. Unincorporated Orange County would lose about $278 million, representing 24% of its tax revenue. So this is a really aggressive push to eliminate property taxes, and it would be disastrous, not just for, the little municipality somewhere out there in Broward, not the Coral Springs or the El Portal. I mean, this is going to affect really, really big cities. The biggest disparity I saw, Peter, was Pembroke Park in Broward would lose 1%. while Parkland would lose 75% of its tax revenue.
Wow.
So the more residential you are, like a Pinecrest or a Key Biscayne, the harder your little village or municipality ultimately gets hit. And the cities are, you have to budget, you have to plan, you have to realize for this. They were thinking, okay, if this happens and this is a long sunset to 2036 or 2037, we have some time. But if this thing actually has legs, I mean, they got to get their books in order.
And they're going to have to do it fast, too, if in fact it has legs. Let's hope, though, the Florida legislature does what it always does. Every single time it's put to a referendum and a vote passes, they never implement it. They always say, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It takes years and years and years. But here's something I sort of want you to consider. What did you say the dollar amount is? It's $72 million is what Fort Lauderdale basically would miss out on?
Correct.
Okay, so if it's $72 million, they did a quick search on AI. Fort Lauderdale gets about 13 million overnight stays in a hotel annually in terms of tourists.
Oh, what they're going to do, they're going to bump the tax revenue on that. That's how you solve that.
They dump it on the out-of-towner. So let's do some rough math. We got $72 million shortfall. We divide it by 13 million visitors that are going to come annually. So if you were coming to Fort Lauderdale, chances are you're in for about $5.54 extra in order to make up for it.
Whoa. And I think when we ran the numbers for the city of Miami, what was it, about 20-something percent, 22%, 24%?
Yeah, ballpark, yeah. So, somewhere right there in the ballpark. I mean, at the end of the day, this is going to get dumped on the out-of-towner. It's getting dumped on everybody. There'll inevitably be a shortfall. Why? International passenger traffic is down at Miami International Airport. It's also down in Fort Lauderdale if you look at some of the statistics.
Down in Dubai, too.
It's down everywhere. Everybody's got the affordability crisis. People can't drop the $50 on a chicken parmesan at Carbone anymore. Those days are gone. You can't even afford a slice.
It's not $50, dude. It's like 90.
I can't even afford a $7 slice at Casola's. Although I will tell you, if you do go to Casola's on 17th
really
and US 1,
though.
You get the drink and you stand there like you're waiting on a slice and you chow down on the free sample.
Oh, they have the freebies at the counter.
They do the freebies. Even though they change ownership, they do the change. Listen, affordability is hitting everybody. This is the worst possible idea. People who own properties, they've come out publicly. They always do. Whenever there's a survey and they say, we don't mind paying property taxes because we know how the money is being spent. We know where it's being earmarked. It's when suddenly you're going to nickel and dime us and all this other stuff. That's where they get pissed off, because then it turns into a slush fund. People will do whatever the hell they want with it. So I am against it. I will continue to be against it. And I think the Floridians who have any brains, other than, say, a Mark Zuckerberg who paid $140 million for his house, and as a result of this, if he were to eliminate the entire property tax, he'd be saving about $4 million a year. If we simply we carve out 2/3 of that, it's still north of $2 million a year. It's bear money for him.
Well, it's certainly less than it would be if he stuck around California and had to pay that net worth tax that they're proposing over there.
Listen, at some point, the pitchforks and torches are coming out. And when they do, property taxes will be the last thing that these people will be worried about.
Well, and it's something we're going to talk about later on in the show, but with everything that Floridians today have to worry about, we got HOAs, we have an insurance crisis. I mean, when you bring taxes into it, and yes, nobody wants to pay taxes. It's the most American, but also the least American thing ever. But when you eliminate the taxes, services are going to take a hit. Yes, they're carving out schools, fine. But less and less people want to go to public schools anyway. And then, public safety is going to be safe. So if your house catches on fire, great. If, something bad happens, you're going to call the police, great. But what about the arts? What about the public health institutions? What about the parks? This is all part of it. And they're going to have to just figure it out.
Let them eat cake.
What is it? Have your cake and eat it too? I never really understood that one.
Listen, if you are a fat cat and you're living real high on the hog, just remember the pendulum always swings one way or another. It's all about fairness. And the fairness is, in reality, if you want Florida to be a prosperous state, if you want companies to come here and invest, you don't just want the executive to park their cash here and then export the work back somewhere else, whether it be in Arkansas, it'd be Costa Rica, it'd be anywhere else. You got to do things that are equitable. I was fortunate enough that I was able to travel to South Africa. I've been a lot of places around the world. Went to South Africa, I went to Cape Town. Cape Town is an absolutely gorgeous place. It reminds me a lot of South Florida. Here's the thing in Cape Town. When you're in Cape Town, you cannot park at the end of the block and walk into the place you're going into. You have to park right in front because you might get robbed. When you go home, you have to have a big fence around your place. You have to have barbed wire. I know it's outlawed by zoning, but this is the type of lifestyle you want. So what? You could have an extra couple dollars? What I would tell the politicians is, listen, keep it equitable. The best crime prevention technique is allow everybody to have hope, everybody to make money, everybody to get health care. As you start to strip this stuff away, guess who they're going to be gunning for? You're already seeing this stuff on social media. You're already seeing innuendos as to the rebellion or a rebellion. I'm not talking about a political rebellion. I'm talking about people simply just going in a completely different direction. There's a guy called Scott Galloway. Scott Galloway is a professor. He's a successful businessman. He does a bunch of different programs, including one called Pivot. You know what he's leading? He is leading an initiative to unsubscribe. Unsubscribe from Amazon. Unsubscribe from Netflix. Unsubscribe. And why? Because the only way you get the attention of corporate America, and it was proved with Jimmy Kimmel, when President Trump and the FCC went after Jimmy Kimmel and ABC, and they got him fired, and all of a sudden he got reinstated. Why did he get brought back? Because everybody unsubscribed. Scott Galloway's leading the charge. This is something that's growing. It's something that's in the underbelly. And the more and more steps that favor the well-off and they penalize those who are scrambling and scraping to get by, it's not going to be a good situation. And I'm not talking socialist. I'm not talking communist. I'm not talking capitalist. I'm talking about just the reality of being out on the streets. Nobody wants to get stuck up going to the drug grocery store. Nobody wants to get stuck up here and there. And these are the things people need to really sort of recognize, because times are getting real tough right now. And this is the worst case scenario. I love Cape Town. I can't walk down the street in Cape Town, and I have no car. So if that's how South Florida is going to turn and Miami's going to turn, I'm going elsewhere. But I'm not going to Dubai because of what's happening with all the bombing.
Can you even get there right now? I think you can get to Dubai. I think the other Gulf cities, their airports are all closed. Bahrain's closed. Kuwait's closed. You can't even fly there, even if you wanted to. And God bless you if you have to fly to Dubai right now. I mean, that's got to be holding your breath the whole flight.
And listen, before I get off my soapbox, let me just add an asterisk. The asterisk is you might live in a rock star condo and you might have dropped $120 million for that condo. But let me tell you what, the people at the front desk, they're making $20 an hour. And if you think if they come with pitchforks and torches, these people at $20 an hour are going to protect you, that's the part people need to recognize. We need to have some sort of common denominator so people can sort of survive. They're not scrambling. They're not forced to rob a bank and do things like that. So all these little steps, I would say, are a really, really, really bad thing, and they're leading us down the wrong path. And again, I'm not a socialist. I'm not a communist. I'm none of that. But I am about personal safety.
You're a good-looking financial analyst is what you are, Peter. Buy, sell, hold. Big cities worried about taxes, too.
Oh, I'm a pound-the-table buy, and they better be worried.
I'm a buy, too. Hey, Peter, you know what? I was doing some reading, as I do. I love to read. The market is great. Market is great, Peter. Here. Market is great here. So I pulled some numbers and we can just throw you statistics, but if you have nothing to compare it to, if we don't juxtapose them against other things, then, we're just throwing you information. So nationally, new single-family home sales in January fell 17.6% month over month to an annualized 587,000 unit pace. And that's the slowest since October 22. You sent me that, Peter. The Economist had a forecasted pace of 720,000 units. So big miss to the downside on that. Meanwhile, we're in South Florida. That's what we're talking about here. South Florida home sales rose 5.4% overall in February, second consecutive month of gains. And $1 million sales, so that's what we usually define as luxury, anything over $1 million. But I think we need to step up that threshold. But $1 million sales jumped 18.9% year over year. So two totally different planets. National, Miami, same country, better weather, worse airport. But the national median home price dropped down to $400,500, which is down 6.8% year over year. But now when we talk about inventory, you would think if the prices are coming down, then people are transacting because prices are coming down. No! Inventory ballooned to 9.7 months of supply, up from 8 months in December. And Peter's going to say, hey, that's not so bad compared to...
Tell me.
compared to the condo market here? What's the inventory in the condo market here, Peter?
Oh, across the board, 11, 12 months. 11, 12 months. You
And
get
then
to
in
certain
some,
markets like
it's
greater
even
downtown
higher,
Miami,
huh?
you're talking 20 months. The central business district between the Miami River and the General Douglas MacArthur Causeway, you're talking 24 months over there. But
24.
and absorption rates are about 5%. They should be about 16.7%, coming in at 5%. So that means you get a 5% chance every month of you actually selling your place.
Wow. What's the most severe market in condos here in South? Is it Sunny Isles or Central Business District?
It's going to be the central business district, simply because central business district's got that extra 5,000 units that are coming online as we speak. Watch for Club 11, guys. Watch for the 2 towers and 1,000 units on one block with fantastic infrastructure. That's the one to watch for. That will be the fun one. That's going to be like watching the show Jackass. Remember that movie Jackass, the series that they used to do?
Yeah, they do the funny shit and they throw around.
Yeah. That is going to be the equivalent when they start doing the closings there. They should have started already because they're late on the construction, but I'm sure it's not going to be a big deal. I mean, mortgage rates only went up to 6.41 today. February 27th, they came in at 5.99. Everybody was celebrating. That Friday of February 27th, people celebrated. They woke up the next day with a hangover to find out the U.S. and Israel had attacked Iran. Guess what oil is right now, Daniel? Guess what's going on with the Dow? Guess what's going on with the 10-year Treasury? Yeah, it's not necessarily a good situation. And what's happening? The 2 condo towers are going to be coming online. Imagine stepping forward and having to close north of $1,000 a square foot on that stuff.
What were they trading pre-construction? What were they going for pre-construction?
If you listen to people, they were saying $1,000, $1,500 a foot, whatever the case may be.
$1,500 a foot at the 11?
Well,
no,
yeah, but
wow, that's a lot.
That's what they were saying. I mean, listen, it's you got the brand.
All right, so I pulled something from the Miami Realtors report, your boys. So
Yep.
$1 million condo townhome sales rose. So this is getting into the luxury tier, right? So $1 million condo townhome sales rose 21.6% in February. Year to date, $1 million condo sales hit an all-time high of 591 sales. So we've been talking about how sales volume is down, but that's when you're looking at the entire market, which is something that Peter and I don't really like to do, because within that huge market, people ask you, how's the market? How's the market? How's the market? It depends which market you're talking about. And so this particular market, it's kind of ripping. Well, anything under that, your first-time home buyer buying the $500,000 place, it is dead. It is frozen. There is no movement. And God bless you if you're a seller.
Well, what I can tell you is if you're in the Brickell Avenue area and you're north of $1.6 million, your asking price, you are in what they call, well, let me rephrase that. If you're over $5 million, you're in what they call an illiquid market. There's no liquidity. Nobody's buying stuff.
Who's
the
buying
inventory
it?
sits at like 5-year supply. And every luxury broker will tell you, oh, my guy has more money than God. They don't necessarily need to sell it. Well, that might be the case. It may not be the case. What good is owning something that you can't necessarily resell? And I know it's your forever condo and you're going to love it, but really
Forever condo, that's like Microsoft Works, right?
Yeah. Which, by the way, did you see what happened with ChatGPT and Microsoft? Copilot. ChatGPT. They came to the dance with one date and they left with somebody else. But that's a different story for a different time. But anyways, listen. Here's what's going on in the condo market. Everybody was standing firm going into winter. They thought they were going to unload come 2026 this year. All of a sudden, all of these reserve requirements that are put in place, they were identified during these inspections, whether it's structure integrity reserve study, milestone inspection. It's now got to be funded. People are realizing they can't afford it. So they're trying to unload. They've been unloading. And then right after February began, it's the symbolic midway point of the Coconut Grove Arts Festival, Miami Beach International Boat Show. We're seeing a sell-off. You are seeing a spike in transactions. Why? We suspect prices are getting slashed. And as these prices get slashed, we're not going to find out till April. So while the Realtor Association might be beating the drum that all the activity is going on, what they're not telling you is people heading for the exits. Somebody's yelling fire in a crowded movie theater, even though nobody goes anymore. But that's what's happening. People are heading for the exits. Let the unwinding begin if it's a building that has some financial problems and it costs simply way too much in order to live there.